big things are happening in the crypto market right now.
I think I sort of alluded to it earlier, but I think we're going to the moon, guys.
No, I'm not talking about going to the moon just yet. What I'm talking about is, well, good CPI data came in, some very bullish momentum, and more importantly, some interesting statements being made specifically around the crypto market. And well, a big player just flipped very bullish on Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm going to be breaking down the latest going on in the crypto market. We're going to take a look at that CPI data and how this is going to step us into the FOMC meeting coming later on this week, and how this could be incredibly bullish for the crypto markets. And could this be the big reversal we've all been waiting for? Go ahead, smash up the like button to a brand new all-time high. Let's get into it. So, in an unprecedented government shutdown, still heading into its potentially 5th week, we actually did manage to get CPI data coming out. Now, September's read was expected around 3.1%. And if you remember from my update video yesterday, we talked about the potential of it coming in slightly better. Well, good news. CPI came in at 3.0%. This was below expectations of around 3.1, and core inflation became in at 3.0. What does it mean? Ultimately, the cost of goods, the consumer prices, was better than expected. Inflation, therefore, is decreasing. What this does is allow the Federal Reserve to potentially reduce interest rates, putting more money back in your pocket and boosting capital markets. Bitcoin rallied to over 112,000 before retracing, but this now changes the odds of a number of Fed rate cuts in 2025. We've now moved to a potential 3 rate cuts for this year. That would mean that we have a 25 basis points and probably a double 50 basis points, of which I have been talking about now for the last at least a month, that I thought December may end up with a double rate cut. This, like I said, opens up the opportunity though for the Federal Reserve to do a few things. Think about this. What is a bullish, neutral, or bearish narrative when it comes to the FOMC? Well, if we were looking at bullish, you'd want an interest rate cut, you'd want the Fed speech to be dovish, and ultimately the Q&As be positive on crypto. Now, we also know that CZ was given that pardon from Donald Trump, and therefore I'm sure this may be coming up in those questions. Neutral would be we see no change. Fed speech is again neutral. And then if we were to be bearish, a potential rate hike, which is absolutely not on. So the things are pretty much aligning. The 3 key things you'd want from a bullish Fed to drive the crypto market are pretty much aligned. A rate cut, dovish Fed, and more importantly, that's going to be positive on crypto. By the way, don't forget, we cover all of this every single day here on the YouTube channel, 2Bit Crypto, to keep you guys dialed into the market. If you haven't already grabbed a channel membership, hit that join button, get access to our free premium Discord with that. And again, remember, we're covering the market every day, so you guys know exactly what's going on. Now, we also have some pretty bullish news that could even drive the Fed further, or more importantly, just inject further capital into the crypto market. We know that Donald Trump will be meeting Xi Jinping next week, and that is the day before the Federal Reserve announcement. We also know Scott Bessent later on today will be meeting with his counterparts in South Korea to, I guess, do the groundwork of what this could look like. Why is this important? Well, we actually now see that there is incredible bullish sentiment, particularly around equities. 47% of professional investors right now say they are bullish on equities over the course of the next 12 months. Remember, these are things like gold, commodities, cryptocurrency, private equity, etc. These all are now starting to play out, and the market is favoring these particular assets. Think about it. Gold ETFs are still rising. Yes, the price is coming down. There's a big debate whether institutions dumped on retail, but the ETF holdings are now the highest since 2022. Why is this important to the crypto market? Well, this is showing that capital right now is flowing into less risk on assets. Once the Federal Reserve cut rates, which are expected next week, barely a trade deal does in China, this capital, I believe, will move into more risk assets. People basically want to take the opportunity while they can. And that, like I said, when money becomes cheap, absolutely injects an absolute beast of a capital into the crypto market. And well, this is on the back of a very interesting 180 from none other than Jamie Dimon himself.
Crypto.
If you mean crypto like Bitcoin, I've always said it's a fraud.
No hope for it.
Well, if they think they're a currency, there's no hope for it. It's a Ponzi scheme.
So that was a year ago. Jamie Dimon basically saying Bitcoin is a Ponzi. Well, guess what? Today, JP Morgan Chase plans to allow institutional clients to use their holdings of Bitcoin and Ether as collateral for loans by the end of the year in a significant deepening of Wall Street crypto integration. Ask yourself the question, would Jamie Dimon and obviously JP Morgan be offering collateralized loans based on Bitcoin and Ethereum if we were heading into a bear market? Or the Federal Reserve weren't going to just inject an absolute ton of capital into this market? The program, by the way, will be offered globally, and they're going to be relying on a third-party custodian to safeguard the pledged tokens. But according to people familiar with the matter, it builds on JP Morgan's earlier move to accept crypto-linked ETFs as collateral. That's a pretty big move, and in my opinion, this opens up the doorway for everyone that was ever bearish to now start to come into the market, and the big banks are here. Some people believe this isn't a good thing, but right now this is going to inject capital and build confidence with some of the biggest equity markets in the globe. And there's also an interesting statement here from Donald Trump. He elects Michael Selig now as the new CFTC chair amid the crypto growth. And you may ask yourself the question, well, who is Michael Selig? Well, he actually wrote for CoinDesk on a number of different things, whether it's US crypto regulations, 2024 regulatory compromise, or equally the year of regulation versus decentralization. And right now, he is obviously the chair over at the SEC of part of that crypto task force. No better person, in my opinion, to come and head up the CFTC, as we know that lots of altcoins are specifically going to be coming under the jurisdiction of the CFTC to support a bigger market push. Once again, if you play this narrative out, you've got to be in a world of believing, well, the market's definitely not over. Everything just feels like it's falling into position, and exactly as we've been talking about here on the channel. So if you haven't subscribed, you probably want to think about it. And finally, this kind of gives us the option to then see altcoins. And a lot of people ask me the question too, but is the altcoin market dead? Are we going to see anything further? Well, altcoin market cap right now is forming the head and shoulder pattern, which generally speaking is a bullish sentiment. If Bitcoin continues to rally, but staying under that 60% on BTC dominance, altcoins may still get their opportunity. Remember, JP Morgan are now going to use Ethereum as a potential collateral for loans. Ethereum ETFs are still skyrocketing, and that's before we even get further altcoins like AVAX, Solana, and many, many others. The Fed, with its expectation to end quantitative tightening, will also support a massive injection of capital into the market, and these could be anything from altcoins to Bitcoin. So right now, we are in perfect position with Bitcoin rallying once again, the Fed about to cut rates, and more importantly, Trump positioning many people who are bullish yet again on cryptocurrency. All the bears look like they might be about to eat some of that humble pie very, very soon. Market's still fragile. We need to stay close to it. But as always, I'm going to do that for you. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And as always, don't forget, we're here every day bringing you the best of the cryptocurrency market. So let me know what you think of all of this in the comments down below. And let me know, do you think it's 25 basis points, or do you think the Fed, giving everything, goes 50 basis points next week for interest rate cuts? And as always, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Smash the like button. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.